What we may be standing next to is what we would call a disturbance event. This tree at some point may have blown over. You can see the root mass at the end of this tree. What this likely caused is enough light to finally reach this forest floor and basically initiate or start the growth of all of these smaller stems around me. And what this really does a good job of is illustrating inherent differences in growth rate and how difficult it can be to decipher the age of a tree strictly based on its diameter. Some trees are inherently faster growing. They generally are the ones that we call shade intolerant, the ones that don't like a lot of shade. They establish quickly and they grow fast. And sort of the classic species that does that here in the Ridge and Valley and elsewhere is yellow poplar. Yellow poplar can grow extremely fast, generally forms what we call a seed bank. So a parent tree, an older tree at some point, has been dispensing seed onto this forest floor. For years, that seed can remain viable in the soil for 4 to 7 years. And as soon as there's a disturbance, this stuff takes off. We can get a relatively straight stem out of yellow poplar on a per board foot basis. They're less merchantable than a lot of our oak species. However, when you talk about the amount of board feet or the amount of timber yellow poplar can tack on, we're generally talking about what could be potentially a merchantable species. But because it moves in so quickly after a disturbance, we have an abundance of yellow poplar throughout Virginia. It's one of the most common species we find, and in some cases is an indicator of people that weren't really foreseeing issues with their management, didn't do proper post-harvest control of certain species, and it can really take over and dominate a site, and you can form these pure stands of nothing but yellow poplar. However, so fast-growing species that can grow large in diameter very quickly. You can contrast that with these hickories that we have right next to us, and red maples. So this red maple, in extreme contrast to our yellow poplar, is a shade-tolerant species. It likes to hang on. It'll hang out in this understory for a long time, just kind of waiting for some of these faster-growing, live fast and die young species to eventually die, and then this red maple will be here to take over that growing space. So these are established at about the same time, so they're about the same age, and yet we have huge contrasts in diameter. So there's a big discrepancy between the diameter, the size of the stem, and its age, and most of the time it's dependent upon the growth rate and the shade tolerance of these given species.